The movie opens with a shot of an egg yolk being injected with a green fluid. It then splits apart and creates an identical copy. Elizabeth Sparkle is getting her Hollywood Walk of Fame star designed. We first see her surrounded by her fans, indicating the peak and height of her career, to later on when people start to view Elizabeth as more of an afterthought, as she's been around for years. Elizabeth basically hosts a TV aerobics show called Sparkle It Up. The hallway is a Hall of Fame display of all her amazing achievements. When she can't use the women's room, she enters the men's, and immediately the network's president, Harvey, enters. We have to get rid of Elizabeth. She's too old now. 50 is basically knocking on death's door, come on. The people want someone young and fresh and hot. She later has lunch with Harvey, who grossly stuffs his face with shrimp, who then tells her that she's fired. Elizabeth gets distracted by her billboard face being ripped apart, which causes her to get into a car accident. She's told by the nurse that she is a perfect candidate after doing a checkup on her. Can we take a minute to admire the nurse? He's honestly so majestic. Oh my days. His eyes, his perfect skin. Oh my. Wow. He's beautiful. Gotta give credit where credit is due. But anyways, on her way out, she finds a flash drive titled The Substance. She also meets Fred, who went to high school with Elizabeth. You're still the most beautiful woman in the world. Here, I'll give you my number and you can call whenever. Uh. At home, Elizabeth watches the flash drive. A voice explains that the substance provides the user with the experience of living as the younger and better version of themselves, switching between the young and old bodies every 7 days without exception. I mean, this really couldn't have come at a better time than right after she's fired, right? Love this for Lizzie. I would have seen this as my 1111 sign. She calls the number and is given an address and goes to the address, which is down a shady alley in a secret building. She takes the deposit box and there's an activator, which is single use only, a stabilizer, body switching tubes, I guess. Food molded in a long, thick cream, color for each day of the week since there's 7 of them in one packet. So basically, you activate only once, you stabilize every day, you switch every 7 days, without exception. She activates, injecting herself, and immediately falls to the floor in pain. She's screaming in agony while a giant slit opens up in her back, and a younger, beautiful woman emerges from Elizabeth's back. Could you imagine if this was real? She sews up the wound and gives Lizzie her food for the week and injects her to get stabilizer fluid as it comes from her, the Matrix, to keep herself and the Elizabeth body balanced. She goes to the auditions and starts going by the name Sue. She quickly earns a spot at Elizabeth's old network. She tells them that she'll be out every other week, though, because she has to help take care of her sick grandma. Sue's enjoying all the attention she's getting and lives her first week to the max. When Elizabeth wakes up, she's still loving her unremarkable and dull life, with her only major activity being going back to the network to collect the rest of her belongings from Harvey. I didn't get before why she'd want to get Sue, but I get it now. Her life is truly boring. But also, she's rich, man. Like, this could have been her retirement life. Traveling the world, having people waiting on you hand and foot, doing charities, volunteering at orphanages and animal shelters. Like, I'm sure if we had Lizzie's money, we wouldn't be interested in creating another version, you know? Sue now, she has her new fitness show picked up full time. Sue becomes Bob the Builder, building a separate room in the bathroom to hide hers or Elizabeth's body while they're unconscious. The noise irritates the neighbor. Right before he's about to complain, he immediately backs down when he sees just how gorgeous she is and tries to hit on her. Sue selfishly decides to go out for the night just hours before she needs to switch. She brings home Troy, and right before they're about to hook up, she has a nosebleed because her time has run out. Because she wants just a little more time, Sue recycles a stabilizer tube and extracts more fluid from Elizabeth's body so she can spend the night with Troy. Yep, this is the start of a horrible time. When Elizabeth wakes up, she finds out that the extra time spent in a terrible way. Oh my days, can you imagine waking up to this? I would be livid, and so is she. She calls the number for the substance for a procedure to reverse the finger, only to be told that the effects are irreversible and that Sue just needs to respect the balance. She's then told to not view Sue as a separate person when Sue is Elizabeth. After getting her refill kit, she goes to a diner where she sees an old man with a very eerie, similar birthmark on his arm as the nurse who recommended the substance to her. It's clear now that this man and the nurse are like Sue and Lizzie. He scares her when he tells her about the negative effects that the younger self is leaving. Then he asks her if Sue has started eating away at her yet. At home, she finds Fred's number and decides to take him up on his offer to go to dinner. He's first starstruck on the phone and can't believe she called. He obviously accepts and makes a reservation. When it's time for her to head out the door after getting ready, she gets distracted by seeing selfish Sue's show billboard staring at her outside her window. Elizabeth runs back to the bathroom and removes her makeup. She gets frustrated that she bails on the date without contacting Fred again. Poor Lizzie, honestly. I love how this movie is shedding a huge light, low self-esteem, because this is a real issue for girls out there. During a shoot of the show, she does a bad take because she felt something bulging against her backside. do a playback to avoid seeing what she saw. She goes to the bathroom and pushes the lump up her leg and eventually out of her belly button, which turns out to be a whole chicken leg. Crazy.
What the hell? What the hell?
I can't believe Lizzie even thought of doing this. Sue calls the number to complain that Elizabeth's spending her 7 days doing meaningless things like binge drinking, eating. Again, I say, Lizzie, you're effing rich. Wake up.
Wake up and get the fucking bread.
I know money isn't everything, but come on, dude. You could seriously be doing amazing and fun things without worrying about your bank balance. Yeah, so Sue complains because she, on the other hand, barely has time to actually enjoy her life. She later goes to the studio to find that her show has been canceled. When she goes to see Harvey, he actually tells her that she has become so popular that they want her to host a New Year's Eve special, and she's just too big for that little dainty show she had. Sue accepts these huge opportunities knocking, but then proceeds to take more time away from Elizabeth than necessary day after day to get covers on Vogue, famous interview shows. While Lizzie's wound isn't healing any better and is just becoming even more gross. When she finally gives Elizabeth back her life, she has become even older and more old-looking, with her legs barely able to move. She calls the number, and they offer her the choice to terminate. End the whole Sue saga, but she refuses and says that Sue just needs to learn balance. Lizzie finally opens the "see you later, we found someone better than you, we're not going to miss you. You're an old hag goodbye gift" that Harvey and her old colleagues gave her when she left, which is just full of all these disgusting food recipes. She uses it, all while growing to hate Sue as she watches her on a talk show. Sue awakens to a disgusting, unclean house. In retaliation for Elizabeth's disgusting habits, Sue grabs multiple containers and ends up extracting 3 months' worth of fluid from Lizzie. Her batch finishes, and when she goes to extract some more, Lizzie's wound is definitely an infected sore now. The fluid she gets is black, looking necrotic, and definitely not something to inject within her. She calls the number, and the voice tells her that it seems she has reached the end of her allotted usage time for her young body, and the stabilizing fluid will only reset once she wakes up Elizabeth. Sue sees no other option but to wake her up. But when Lizzie wakes up, it is a catastrophic sight, a scary view. I don't even have any more words to describe this, cause damn, she's become a grotesque, hunchbacked abomination. Lizzie calls substance support and decides to terminate. Finally. Why did it take her looking like this creature to finally make this decision? She gets a black fluid and starts to inject Sue in the chest with it. But she stops short of using the entire syringe and pulls out and tries by all means to wake up Sue so that she can go host the New Year's special. She says to Sue's unconscious body that Sue is the only part of herself that she actually loves. How sad is that? Man, I feel so bad for her because all she wanted was to live through her younger version, only for that version to F her over like this. Sue wakes up and finds herself face to face with Elizabeth. Sue viciously attacks her. And just like that, Sue gets ended. Sue then goes to the network to get ready for the New Year's Eve special. Unfortunately for her, she heads to the bathroom and her body starts to literally fall apart. Literally, y'all. Her tooth falls out, then she pulls out another 3 of her front teeth. Then her fingernail comes off, and then finally, her left ear literally rips off. Sue runs back home, desperate to fix things, so she then finds the vial of the activator fluid, which was only designed for one-time usage, and injects herself though. Thinking it will create another young body, it instead gives birth to an utterly disgusting creature called Monstro Elisue, which has multiple limbs, teeth, breasts, and Elizabeth's gasping face on the back. Monstro goes back to the network with Elizabeth's face from a poster taped to it and fitting into Sue's dress. As Monstro approaches the stage, the face falls off and reveals its hideous visage to the audience. Harvey attacks Monstro and blows its head off with a mic stand, but the head regenerates. Its arm falls off and sprays the audience in a fountain. Monstro manages to leave the studio until it collapses and splatters into nothing. Emerging from it is Elizabeth's original face attached. She crawls towards her Walk of Fame star, looking up with joy watching the night sky. Elizabeth smiles one last time before she dissolves into a puddle of goo. In the morning, a floor scrubber washes away the puddle, leaving no trace of Elizabeth behind.